right? And like we said, so we're going to go out of budget into people now. Who's on the team, right? This is so key because you can't do this yourself. It has to be a team. And when I was at Microsoft, I'd actually won President's Club, and it was a trip to Hawaii. And on one of the days, they had a bunch of events that you could do. And my wife and I looked at it, and there wasn't really anything that we were all that interested in. But the one thing that we did see was this deep sea fishing, and we thought, oh, well, at least we can go out and be on the water for the day. Let's do that. And immediately when we made the decision and signed up, my stomach sunk because I actually get really seasick. And so we end up going and we get out on the boat. It was end of season, so the fishing wasn't great. And we were out there for about 2 hours, and true to form, I got seasick and ended up passing out in the cabin. And I heard the skip yell, "Fish on," and it's a big one. And I jumped up and jumped into the seat and saw it jump and go down. And, long story short, I caught a 500-pound blue marlin, and the skip had told me, he said, it's going to take, all 4 of you on the boat, probably about 4 or 5 hours to pull this thing in. And I happened to be able to pull it in 45 minutes myself. Now, I say myself, but it wasn't myself. It was a team effort. The skip was there telling me when to sort of lean forward and squat so that I could reduce the drag on the line and when to reel in. And the captain, was using the fish finder to figure out where this thing was. So you think about, that he was finding where it was. He was also backing the boat up to reduce the drag on the line so it didn't snap or would pull forward to help tire out the fish. My wife and team were there. My wife was pouring water on my head to support me because it was so hot, right? And so I bring up this story because it's very much like dealing with a software vendor in a situation like this, right? You need a team. You need a captain that knows how to use a fish finder to find the data. So how do I go find that data to figure out how much of M365 we're using? You need a skip that knows how to interpret that data. So he knew how to, watch the waves and figure out what the fish was doing and watch the line. And so watch that data, figure out how to use that. And then you need a supportive team to help you, finance, legal, procurement, IT. It's a whole team approach in order to beat those, monsters like Microsoft and Oracle and IBM and all these software companies, right? And so the thing is, when you're doing this, it's all hands on deck, right? So you need to develop your team or teams because the team doing Microsoft may have similar people, but it might be different than the team that you need to do Oracle or IBM. So you need to make sure that you develop the team and that the team sees what you're doing and knows what results you're trying to get. Right. And are getting. And the key thing is to let them know what they need to do and how they can help. Right. Like the worst thing you can have is have somebody on the team saying to, one of your vendors, oh, yeah, they're just trying to get savings. We know it's not going to happen. So just do what you need to do. Like we see that happen. Teams undermining themselves internally. Right. The people include your vendors, right? It's not just you, but it's people that include your vendors. So what's your account team look like? What's your relationships with executives work like? Do you know how to work up their chains of command in order to get things done? And you want to obsess over getting results from them, but you also want to over communicate with them, right? Like you cannot allow them to go weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks without responding. And that's one of their strategies during this will be just don't respond, right? And so you want to schedule daily quick check-ins, whether that's with the team, your internal team, whether that's with the vendors, whether that's collectively. You definitely want to have recurring team meetings. If you're trying to work specifically with a vendor, how often do you need to do that? Is it weekly, bi-weekly, monthly? Internally, what's the frequency of that? But the most important thing is to take action and lots of action, right? We saw it in 2020, and I saw it in 2008. So many people bury their head in the sand and are just trying not to do anything to rock the boat. They don't want to be seen. Internally, people are worried about getting laid off, so they don't want to be seen. At the vendors, it's the same thing, or they don't want to have the difficult conversations, so they just don't do anything. And that's the worst thing you can do. The most important thing you can do, if I could emphasize anything, is take action and lots of action.